All right then, if you're going to belittle me like that, you can forget about seeing your grandchild. The son, who had been incessantly asking his parents for financial support, sneered with a smirk that suggested victory. Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'm a cut above my sister here. I have a steady income and I don't need mom to bail me out anymore. If you want to cut ties, feel free. We won't be showing you our kid, even when we have one. Please keep your distance from our lives. And don't think about crying to us about your retirement expenses, because we won't pay a dime. Having had their say, the two left. In the end, just as my daughter predicted, all they wanted was to leech off me and live a luxurious life. They even snooped so low as to exploit a parent's longing to see their grandchild. I won't let them manipulate me anymore. My name is Mary. I'm turning 54 this year. After having 2 kids, I divorced their father and managed to scrape by on the child support payments he provided. Thankfully, I was able to return to my previous job, which allowed me to make ends meet while putting a bit aside. I've tried to compensate for the absence of their father, but I was perhaps a bit naive in my approach. The wake-up call came when my son got married. Mom, could you help out again this month? Well, I guess I don't have much choice. My eldest son, David, got married to his high school sweetheart, Linda, about 6 months ago. They rented an apartment near my house, saying they were saving up to buy their own place. I even contributed significantly to their wedding expenses, all in support of their goals. Still, David would make requests for money with a humble gesture, a plea to me, his mother. He'd talk about how his company was struggling, how his salary and bonuses were stagnating. He'd explain how Linda's parents were unwell, and he had to send them money. All kinds of hardships were shared with me. The more I listened, the more I felt he was being a bit naive about his role as the family breadwinner. Nevertheless, I continued to give him money for about 6 months after their marriage. Since we lived nearby, they would often come over. We'd frequently share dinners, and I assumed that David was bringing Linda over to my place. Despite being newlyweds, they seemed to prefer spending time with me rather than themselves. I even hinted at this once, but Linda only responded with, "Your cooking is so good, Mary, I could eat it every day." Although I was flattered, Linda never showed any interest in learning my recipes or helping me cook. The years passed in this way until my daughter, Tricia, started applying to colleges. At that crucial time, I asked David and Linda to refrain from visiting so frequently. Yet, they continued to ask for financial support, and once the college applications were over, they were back to their usual frequent visits. Around that time, Tricia and Linda started having disagreements. "Mary, your financial help has really saved us. The economy is so tough, and David's company isn't doing well." "But that bag you're carrying, Linda, it's designer, isn't it? You seem to be doing pretty well for yourself." "Come on, Tricia. This isn't that expensive. Besides, you always butter up Mom for money, and Linda, don't you ever think of getting a part-time job or something?" "Tricia, that's rude." "Who's being rude here? Don't you feel ashamed relying on your parents for money?" "Well, I do feel sorry for Linda because I'm not earning enough." "No, not to Linda, to Mom." "All right, Tricia, let's cool it. We're all going through a tough time, let's be understanding." It wasn't the first or second time Mary had to mediate between her children like this during meals. I understood Tricia's complaints, but I believed they just needed to endure a bit longer. Mary trusted they would soon say they could stand on their own feet and wouldn't need any more financial support. Above all, she didn't want to burden her children with money issues, especially without a father figure around. These were some of the thoughts running through Mary's head. As Mary finished dinner and started cleaning up, she heard Linda from behind. Excuse me. Mary turned around with a smile, thinking that the moment I had anticipated had arrived. Linda's words froze my smile. Thank you so much for your support, Mom. It's really a big help. It's okay. I'm sorry Trisha can be a bit of a nag. Don't worry about it. But I have a favor to ask. What is it? Recently, I've been thinking about having a child, but I'm not confident about the finances. What? Well, it's hard to have a baby when you're older, isn't it? Well, I guess it might be. So, I was wondering if you could increase the amount of support money a little more. Shockingly, David and Linda weren't just content with walking on their own feet. They were actually planning on having a child in this situation. How can they consider having a child when their financial outlook is so unstable? I thought. So, I tried to hint them that it was reckless. Yet, Linda seemed irked and countered. Don't you want to see your grandchild? I'm not saying I don't want to. Exactly. I'm an only child and I really want my parents to meet their grandchild as soon as possible. But you do realize that having a child will make things even more difficult? I'll start working too, then. We'll manage. David has also reassured me about this. Despite my advice, Linda insisted that everything would be fine and there was nothing to worry about. As a result, I ended up increasing my monthly allowance to them from $1,000 to $1,200. When I told Trisha about this, she was indignant, insisting, Mom, you're definitely being duped by them. But I still dreamed of the day when the two would become independent. A few years after I increased the allowance, David came to our house alone. Apparently, he knew I was off from work that day and seemed anxious to discuss something with me. Is Trisha here? I think she's studying in her room. Why? Do you need something? No, it's okay. I just have something to ask of you, Mom. I hope it's not bad news. Well, I was wondering if you could increase the allowance a little more. I had kind of expected it from David's demeanor, but I was utterly disappointed that both he and Linda just kept asking for money with no remorse. I let out a heavy sigh and finally, in a loud voice, reprimanded David. Enough is enough. How long do you plan on relying on your parents? No. You're misunderstanding. Linda has been getting tests done at the hospital. Hospital? Is Linda sick? No, not like that. She's been getting tests done for childbirth and it's turning out to be more expensive than we thought. We're short on cash. That's why I told you. It's not a good idea to have a child without proper planning. What will you do if something unexpected happens? If the child gets injured or if one of you falls ill, you can't just say, we don't have money. You don't think everything will be fine just by begging me, do you? Don't get so angry. I didn't know the tests were going to be so expensive. Isn't that odd? I turned around at the sound of the sudden interjection to find Trisha, who had seemingly been in the living room for a while. David made a sour face, trying to shoo her away. But Trisha stopped him from saying anything and approached him. What kind of tests are you talking about for childbirth? If she's pregnant, can't you check with a pregnancy test? What test is it? I don't know. Linda went alone. I just heard we don't have enough money. Why did you let Linda go to the hospital alone for such a serious matter as childbirth? Normally, couples go together to listen to the doctor. Don't they? David, you have the day off today, right? Don't butt in. You're just a kid who knows nothing about pregnancy. The one who doesn't understand what even a kid does is you, David." There was some arguing, but David couldn't refute Trisha's points and reluctantly left. While I thought Trisha had a point, I told her, "Isn't it okay to cut them some slack considering their situation?" To which she sighed at me. "Mom, are you serious? What do you mean? They just want money. Their reasons are surely fabricated." "Why would you say that?" Unable to hold herself back, Trisha went back to her room and returned with her smartphone. She showed me several pictures. It was Linda's bag. "Linda claimed it's a cheap one, but I think it's real. She made fun of my bag, saying it's pathetic, and laughed. This bag costs $1,200? That's the same as the monthly allowance. Yeah, it's a high-end brand. And no matter how cheap it is, she had a different bag each time she came over. I think she's just spending the allowance on these kinds of things." You might be right. Linda did have a lot of different bags. She was laughing behind your back, calling you a fool for not noticing. You wouldn't know. Then Trisha showed me a recording. It was a conversation between Linda and Trisha, recorded when I was at work and Linda had come over to our house. "Trisha, I know you don't carry anything but cheap bags, and you're not interested in money, right? Could you ask your mom to increase the amount she's sending to me? Didn't you say something like this before and got some money from mom? Just an additional $200 isn't enough. It's $1,200, okay? She thinks she's taking care of her son and his dreams for just $1,200? She could at least give us more since she might get to see her grandchild. How audacious! Don't you understand it's better for the world if young people spend the money instead of the old hoarding it? Hey, Mom. Are you still going to keep sending them money after they said all this?" Her voice unmistakably clear. Trisha had secretly recorded their conversation on her phone that was stashed in her pocket. Upon hearing it, I felt both disappointed and deeply sorry for Trisha. She'd been exposed to her brother and his wife begging their own mother for money. It was a wake-up call. I resolved to have a serious talk with David and Linda. "I need to talk with David and Linda. I'm glad. If you're going to do that, I'll help you however much I can." Thank you. The next day, I invited the two of them to my house. Linda arrived, one of those $1,200 bags in hand, her face beaming with delight. Trisha and I sat down with them at the living room table. "I'm going to stop sending you money." "What? What are you talking about? We can't handle this kind of surprise." "That's right. Mother-in-law, my medical expenses are piling up, and it's really causing me trouble. Why don't you just save your money instead of buying those expensive bags?" Linda, who initially tried to be humble and gain my favor, sighed heavily as if she had been wronged when I mentioned the bag. "Don't you want to see your grandchild? I would feel sorry for the child being born to such an irresponsible parent. Are you saying that even though your son is in trouble, you're not going to help us? I've been helping you enough. I've been sending you money for 10 years now. David, you should stop this already." "It was you. You must have said something to Mom." "Trisha has nothing to do with this. It's my decision based on your behavior." As I firmly stated this, David and Linda fell silent. Seeing this, I felt relieved that we could end this after a decent conversation. But then David laughed in a mocking tone and started shouting at us. "Well, fine. If you're going to insult me like this, then give up on ever seeing your grandchild." "What are you talking about? Weren't you the one who was disrespecting Mom? You kept sending me money because you thought I was useless, right? That's right. You kept paying us because you thought David was struggling, right? What are you trying to say? Sorry to break it to you, but unlike you, I'm actually competent. I've been earning my own money, so I don't need Mom's help. Feel free to stop giving us your petty cash. You're blaming us, but you're just saying you can't go on without the money, right? Yeah, that's right. But don't come crying to us for money for your old age expenses after showing us this attitude. And even if we do have a child, we won't be showing you the baby's face. Never interfere with us again. With these words, they left with a bang. As it turned out, Trisha was right. They were simply trying to bleed me dry and squander the money. Worse, they exploited my desire to see my grandchild. Trisha was grinning with satisfaction as I sank into my thoughts. Don't worry, they'll be back begging in no time. But from now on, it's a new game, Mom. Trisha spoke with certainty. And she was right. Just half a year later, David, still in his work clothes, showed up at our house clutching his credit card statement. Listen to me, Mom. Linda's out there, spending my money on bags and wallets like it's nothing. Oh, why are you surprised now? That's cold, Mom. Well, didn't she always behave like that, even when she was receiving $1,200 from me each month? $1,200! She said she was only getting $500. You didn't even know how much allowance I was giving to your wife, did you? That's disappointing. Indeed, I used to put the money in an envelope and give it to the two of them. I felt a headache coming on at my son's pathetic ignorance, not even checking the amount before using it. She's spending that $1,200 on all sorts of useless things, and our savings are depleting rapidly. That's how it's always been. I don't understand why you didn't realize it sooner. Mary replied, her words also serving as a critique of her past self. Perhaps by being in the same position now, David might understand a bit of how I felt. But ultimately, David couldn't stop Linda, and he would only rely on me for money. There was nothing I could do for my son who complained and lashed out without a hint of apology. It seemed that their quarrelsome days continued, unable to stop Linda from spending more than her income. It was no surprise, considering they were unable to save even though they were receiving $1,200 a month for free. As I observed their poor financial management, I couldn't help but wonder where I went wrong in raising them. I just kept going, doing as Trisha told me to. Mom, I didn't know you moved, was the message I received about 10 days after the move. Trisha had anticipated that David and Linda would come asking for money again, and so, as a precaution, we sold our house and moved to an apartment with easy access to Trisha's workplace. Of course, we didn't tell the two of them our new address. Just as Trisha had predicted, they came to our old place and, finding us gone, sent a frantic mail. I received a flurry of apologetic mails from David, mixed with preaching about how he wouldn't care about my old age or his children's future. If they're this desperate, I wonder if they've also been rude to Linda's parents. That's not likely. Linda's parents are just like her, always asking for handouts. Trisha told me, sharing some information she'd learned about Linda's family. From the $1,200 I used to give her, it seemed Linda had also been passing on some money to her parents. It finally made sense how they could spend so much each month. And now, with their disposable income finally gone, it seemed that David and Linda were being pressed for money by Linda's parents. I was speechless at how my son and daughter-in-law could still think of relying on others after all they'd gone through. Seeing the emails I'd received, Trisha laughed and said, "I told you so," before promptly blocking them. I felt neither sympathy nor pity for David and Linda, even if they apologized. After all, they were so proud of their good income and qualifications, so they should work hard together. I've caused Trisha enough trouble over David. I've been helping him out, even dipping into my savings while working, but I've done enough. From now on, until Trisha finds a good partner, we'll support each other as mother and daughter. Your luggage was in the way, so I threw it out. Sure enough, it was Madison's doing. All of my things, my clothes, cosmetics, anything that belonged to me were gone. Luckily, I had my computer with me when I went out, so it was safe, but having this happen really gets on my nerves. My husband, Charles, along with Madison, are both giving me these annoying smiles. It was Madison's idea, and Charles helped her with it. What's with the blank stare? If there's something you really need, why don't you go pick it up? Or better yet, leave the house. You're in the way, Auntie. Being a stepchild, I let her do as she pleased without saying anything, following Charles's educational policies without complaint. But this attitude from the start, being ignored for a year, and now having all my belongings thrown away. No one would stay calm after being treated like this. They have no idea what happens when I get angry. What pitiful people. Divorce is certain, and I'm not sure if Madison will be able to go to college. Charles has many hobbies, so he'll probably be stressed out not being able to do them. After all, they'll lose their home. It'll be interesting to see what they'll do. So, I'm the nuisance here. Fine, I hope you both get what's coming to you. And don't come crying back to me. Whether I cry or get angry, it has nothing to do with me anymore. You'll regret it. My name is Emma. I'm 38 years old and own a house. I hate being asked too much about my job, so I just say I live in a remodeled family home. I used to invest, but ever since switching to high-risk, high-return stocks, my assets have been steadily increasing. My dad was into investing in stocks, and I've been learning about them since I could remember, so although I'm self-taught, I think it suits me. Meeting Charles happened when he joined the gym I've been going to for years. We wore the same brand of sportswear, so he struck up a conversation with me. We started talking more with each meeting, gradually growing closer and going out together more. Charles is a man of many hobbies, like the gym, golf, cars, fishing, etc., and being with him was never boring. When he asked me out, this was our conversation. From the moment I met you, Emma, I couldn't stop thinking about you. I want you to be with me, considering marriage. Yes, I'd love to. I felt the same way, so I'm happy. But there's something I have to tell you. What is it? I'm divorced. My ex-wife didn't understand my hobbies and was always negative about them. That was the cause of our divorce, and I have a daughter from that marriage who I've taken custody of and is now living in my family home. I'm sorry. I was worried you wouldn't want to be with me if I told you this. Would you still accept me? If I'm going to be part of your daughter's life, we should get along, right? Emma, you mean? I don't mind at all. No matter what happens, my feelings for you won't change. After that, we started dating. At that time, Charles's daughter, Madison, was in her 6th year of elementary school and seemed like a cute, friendly girl. She always greeted me with a bright smile and seemed happy to see me. It's Emma. I'm so happy to see you today. Madison, do you like going shopping for clothes with Emma? Madison is really cute. It makes me want to buy her something. You two seem to be having fun. Let me join in. Dad's getting jealous. Yes, Charles is a jealous type, isn't he? I thought Madison was fond of me. I bought her clothes that suited her and brought cakes as gifts, which she always seemed to enjoy. Then one day, during dinner, Madison muttered, "It would be more fun if Emma was with us every day." This led to Charles proposing to me. It was about 2 years after we started dating. We got married when Madison was about to enter her 3rd year of middle school, and since I lived alone in a house, they both moved in with me. At that time, I hadn't told Charles exactly how I make my living, just that I was a home worker. I once told someone I dated how I earned my money in detail. Then, after teaching him for a while, he started to cling to me, and it was hard to break up. I had meant to talk about it after we got married, but completely forgot as time passed. A little over a year since we started living together, Madison was nearing the end of her first year of high school. That's when things started to change. Madison and Charles's attitudes began to worsen noticeably. Charles's take-home pay is about $2,700, and since we own our home, we don't need to pay rent, so he was contributing about $1,000 for living expenses. But now, he only puts in $200 and spends the rest with Madison, and when that's not enough, they both come begging to me. They spend so much money on various hobbies, and one day I brought it up because the spending was getting out of control.
Charles, can we talk for a minute? Now? I have to play my game, so make it quick. It's about Madison and the money. Don't you think you're spending too much? First off, she's only in her first year of high school and you're buying her all these expensive designer items. How much allowance are you giving her? And Charles, it's fine that you have many hobbies, but aren't you spending too much on them? You're even spending on games. And maybe you could sell the things you don't use? How much was I giving Madison again? $1,000 or something? I want to buy her whatever she wants, and she says there are so many places she wants to go. She's my cute only daughter, so it's fine. And don't meddle in my hobbies. Even if you say anything, I won't listen. I work hard every day to feed you guys, right? What? I can't even have hobbies now. Wait, you're giving her $1,000? What are you thinking? Wait, you spend the $1,000 every month and then ask me for an allowance? Looks like I'll need to talk to Madison too. But let's put that aside for now. I'm not saying you can't have hobbies, but you're spending too much. Do you even realize how much you're contributing to the house? $200, Charles, $200. How are we supposed to live on that? Don't be too hard on Madison, okay? It's sad. Spending too much, it's my money, so it's fine. I'm the type who needs to have things to get into them. I'm giving you $200, so it should be fine. We don't have to spend much since it's your house. Plus, you work too, right? We've been living fine until now, so no complaints. The money I earn. Yes, that's true, but there's a limit, right? Just because we own the house doesn't mean there are no taxes. $200 isn't even enough for the utility bills. I work too, but the problem is you're spending too much. At my parents' house, $200 was enough. If it's not enough, you can just pay the difference. That's because your dad and mom are still working, right? And the size of the house is different. We need to pay more because of that. Are you subtly saying my parents' house is small? Enough. Go away. I won't listen anymore. You're such a hassle. No, I'm not speaking ill of your parents' house. You brought up the money, Charles. What do you mean by hassle? While I was still talking, Charles put on his headphones and started playing his game, so I couldn't continue the conversation. There were things I needed to tell Madison too, but since I didn't know when she would be back from hanging out, I couldn't find the right time to talk to her. Just after Madison started her second year of high school, and because the weather was bad, the three of us were together at home for the first time in a while, so I suggested we have a family meeting. Convincing the two of them, who clearly didn't want to, that it would be over quickly, we decided to talk in the living room. Madison, I heard from Charles that you're getting an allowance of $1,000. And yet, you still come asking me for money every month, right? What are you spending all that money on? And you're staying out too late playing around. Enough is enough. Shut up. Why are you butting in when you're not even my real mother? What I do with my money is my business. Leave me alone. I might not be your real mother, but as of now, I am your mother. I'm telling you this because if you continue spending money like this, you'll face problems in the future. I can't just ignore it. If you can't explain why you need so much money, I won't give you any from now on. Such a hassle. I just want a lot of things, and there are social obligations, you know? Can you not meddle? Right? High school students have their own social circles. Don't be too hard on her, I understand that there are social obligations and that it's the age to want brand name things, but it's about the amount of money.
What's wrong with you? Everyone gets this much, it's normal.
It's different from your time, Auntie. Back then, you didn't say anything but bought cakes and whatever I wanted, and now pretending to be mom is just laughable. Wait, Auntie? What kind of way is that to speak? Pretending to be mom? If I'm mom, it's natural to say no to bad things, right?
I got a bit irritated and retorted more strongly than I intended, which seemed to upset Madison, who then raised her voice in an angry tone.
Seriously, this is so annoying. I was just playing family with you because you used to buy me whatever I wanted, but why are you acting all high and mighty? Fine, I'll treat you like you don't exist and don't interfere with me. Just wait a minute. Emma, that's enough. You went too far. Apologize to Madison. I'm the one at fault? What do you mean by playing family? I thought you were an easy woman to deal with, but I guess I was wrong. Just apologize, will you?
I was baffled. To think that Charles saw me in such a way. From the next day, Madison truly started ignoring my existence. The message Charles sent me in the morning saying, "Until you apologize to Madison, I'll also keep my interactions with you to a minimum." As I continued to live like this, finding no meaning in staying together, I started to think about divorce. About a year had passed since Madison began ignoring me. Madison was in her 3rd year of high school. Charles and Madison continued to be reckless with money, and even though I stopped giving them money, they withdrew from the account I used for paying utilities and other bills. Despite thinking I was putting in nearly $2,000 thinking it would be extra, it all got withdrawn. Because of such incidents, I made up my mind and had a conversation with Charles.
Charles, do you have a moment? There's something I need to discuss. What, you finally decided to apologize to Madison? No. I've lost the sense of purpose in staying together. Please leave this house. Excuse me? What are you talking about? Did you hit your head? No, I'm serious. Yeah. Wait, I need to think about it. I have to tell Madison too. Please do it within 3 days. I'll take the day off work and go to the gym, so please pack your things and leave during that time.
3 days, huh? I couldn't tell if Charles was really listening, but I said what I wanted to say. Given their attitudes, they probably didn't want to live in the same house as me either. 3 days later, I spent some time at a cafe and then went to the gym for a longer session before returning home. Their shoes were still there, so they must still be in the house. That thought crossed my mind as I went to put away my gym shoes and was shocked to find my heels, pumps, and boots missing from where they should be. A bad feeling washed over me, and I rushed into the house and into my room, only to find it empty. I couldn't find a single piece of my jewelry. As I hurried to the living room, Madison and Charles were there, both sporting sarcastic smiles upon seeing me. And for the first time in a year, Madison spoke to me.
"Oh, you're back. Why the rush? What's the meaning of this?" "My belongings. Your stuff was in the way, so I threw it out."
Just as I thought, it was Madison's doing. All my clothes, cosmetics, anything that was mine had disappeared. Fortunately, I had my PC with me when I went out, so it was safe, but to have this happen was infuriating. Charles was laughing along with Madison. It was Madison's idea, and Charles helped her with it.
What's with the blank stare? If there's something you really need, why don't you go pick it up? Or better yet, leave the house. You're in the way, Auntie. So, I'm the nuisance here. Fine, I hope you both get what's coming to you. And don't come crying back to me. Whether I cry or get angry, it has nothing to do with me anymore. You'll regret it. Regret? As if we'd cling to an auntie like you. That's right. What Madison said is true. We're the ones who did you a favor by marrying you, remember? You should be grateful we married you, not the other way around.
Hearing this, I took what belongings I had and headed to a business hotel. Fortunately, there was a vacancy, and I was able to stay there that night. Watch me now. That's what I thought as I went about what I needed to do. And then, almost a month later, My phone rang loudly. It was Charles. Just as I thought he would call. I couldn't help but laugh at how predictable it was. I waited a bit before answering Charles's call.
Hey! Emma, where the heck are you? Enough is enough, come back home. Oh, I'm just the nuisance auntie, remember? That's enough. If you've reflected, I'll let you live with us again. Live together? You must be joking. How about you quickly sign the divorce papers I left in the mailbox? Mailbox? Divorce papers? What are you talking about? Haven't you checked the mailbox? Why don't you go look now? Wait a minute.
He must have gone to check the mailbox because I could hear footsteps over the phone. I decided to wait. After a while, I could hear him running back. He must have been surprised by what was inside.
Emma, there are notices for electricity bills here. What's this amount? But the electricity is still on, and the hot water is working. Did they come even after I paid? Charles, you don't know anything. Our house is all electric, so that's the amount we owe every month. And if there's a notice, the due date must be the end of this month, right? Good luck paying it. I haven't been living in that house, so I haven't paid. Plus, I've changed the withdrawal to your account. Electricity doesn't just stop if you don't pay immediately, you know? Didn't you know that?
What do you mean? Nothing's in my account for a withdrawal to happen. Please, pay it. I don't have any money until my next paycheck.
No way. Why should I pay for you too? Isn't your cell phone bill coming soon too? Wait. You didn't change the cell phone account to mine, did you? Yes. The bills for both you and Madison are being withdrawn from your account now. Madison's too? How much is it going to be? You wouldn't know, right? You spend on gaming, and Madison uses a payment method that comes with the cell phone bill for shopping. Including mine, it's about $2,500 a month. What? That much? I shouldn't have spent that much on gaming. When you weren't spending, Madison was buying accessories or something. You're spending at least $800 a month on gaming. Don't you realize? Mine was about $100, I think. That's impossible. I can't pay that. Charles, shall I tell you something? What? The monthly payments, including the allowance I used to give you both, amount to $8,000. Did you know? Taxes on the house, utilities, your car loan, cell phone bills, money for your hobbies, money given to Madison, and all that adds up. Did you know that? What did you say? $8,000? That can't be right. It is. That's why I got angry about you spending too much. It even exceeded $10,000 once, remember? When Madison bought 3 designer bags. Well, I could pay because it was me. Wait, Madison was shopping that much? There's no way I can afford that. You mean you could pay because it was you? What does that mean? You didn't know anything about my job. Anyway, I have some business to attend to at that house next time, so I'll tell you then.
You're coming back. That would be a relief. Please come back soon.
What are you talking about? I said next time, right? You'll have to figure out the payment yourself.
After saying that, I hung up the phone. Feeling somewhat refreshed, I relaxed for a bit when the phone rang again. I answered it immediately. Now that the date was set, I thought I'd just leave a message. I informed Charles that I would be visiting in a week and muted his contact. When I arrived a week later, Charles had taken the day off and was waiting for me. I had thought as much, but I was hesitating about whether to mention the job directly. However, considering the what-ifs, I decided to say something about it before leaving.
Been waiting. Who are those men? Multiple affairs? No, they came to look at the house. What? Why? I'll tell you everything on my way out. But first, what about the payments? And the divorce papers? I borrowed from my parents. I'm counting on you from next month. We're not getting divorced. No, we are getting divorced. I won't make the payments. Why not? Then why did you come back? To have you sign the divorce papers and to inspect the house. I told you, we're not getting divorced, so I won't sign. What's this inspection about? Forget the inspection for now. If you don't sign the divorce papers, Madison will be angry, you know? If you don't want Madison to hate you, you better sign. If it comes to it, I'll consult a lawyer and make you repay all the money I've spent so far.
All right.
Oh, scared of the lawyer, are you?
I just don't want Madison to hate me. If it means getting billed for what was spent, I'll just go through with the divorce. But let's live together here.
What? No way.
The men I came with finished their inspection and came back. These men were actually demolition workers. I got him to sign the divorce papers, and I decided to tell him the truth before leaving.
Oh, you'll need to move out soon. Just so you're prepared. What do you mean? Because this is the house I built. What? I thought you remodeled your family home. Hey, I wasn't told this. No, that's not the case. I was planning to tell you more once we had built a stronger relationship. But you showed your true colors before that could happen. So, Emma, you must be earning a lot? You never mentioned a mortgage. The mortgage is already paid off. I'll tell you more about it later. Right now, I want to file the divorce papers. If you're earning that much, forget the divorce. Give that back.
As Charles tried to grab the divorce papers, the demolition workers easily restrained him. They then drove me to the courthouse in their truck. The divorce papers were successfully filed. It seemed he also had day off the next day. He kept calling. Curious about the job since I hadn't mentioned it, I decided to answer. To my surprise, it wasn't Charles but Madison on the phone, though it seemed Charles was there too, judging from the background noise.
What's the meaning of this? You told Dad to leave, right? Explain yourself to me. Good morning, Madison. Yes, that's right. Please leave, as that house is one I purchased. What? Dad said it was just your family home that was remodeled, so it would be easy to take over. Is that what he said? Thanks for letting me know. Madison, don't say unnecessary things. Emma, how could you afford all these payments? I was planning to tell you. I'm an investor, and I've been dealing with stocks these past few years. I know someone who did that and didn't make anything. If he couldn't, there's no way you could. But I can. My dad is also an investor, a successful one. He's living abroad now. So that's why the marriage introduction was remote. Exactly. There's an epidemic over there, and he can't return right now.
Did you also get money from your parents?
Only at the start. I borrowed but was able to pay it back quickly. Shall I tell you my total assets? Don't beat around the bush, just say it. It's probably something like $100,000, right? No, it's not. Don't tell me it's actually $100,000. Close, but it's $1 million. What? Too bad for you. Hey, that's a lie. Hey, you're lying. If you think it's a lie, then that's fine. We'll never have to deal with each other again. Wait, Emma, let's start over. Please, come back. I'm begging you. Then, goodbye.
After saying that, I hung up the phone, then proceeded to block his calls and messages. Feeling liberated, I started looking for a new place to live. A few days later, I received a call from an unknown number. It turned out to be Charles using his work cell phone. I didn't know the number.
Emma, wait, don't hang up. Just hear me out. What is it? The demolition crew is here saying we have to leave because the house is going to be torn down. Do something, please. Where are you now? We could come to you. No way. Don't come. Goodbye.
Wait. Mom, it's me, Madison. I realize I went too far. I'm sorry. I want to live together again.
Madison, I'm not your mom anymore. Don't come crawling back now.
I was wrong, so please remarry Dad. Without you, I can't go to college, and my cell phone will be cut off soon. I'll be good, I promise.
Poor thing. But, Madison, you were the one who rejected me trying to be your mom. Life isn't that easy, you know? Maybe you should give up on college for now and get a job? Or apply for a scholarship. I don't want a scholarship. My life as a college girl. No.
Throwing a tantrum won't change anything now. Try your best with Charles. Goodbye. After that call, I also blocked that number and went to a mobile shop to change my number. About 3 months later, I heard from a gym friend who was also close to Charles that, after everything, Charles had no time or money for his hobbies anymore. He was working day and night desperately trying to pay back the money he borrowed from his parents. I thought I saw Madison in the nightlife district during a night out with friends, but they're people I'm no longer associated with. It's a result of their own actions, I think. When I told my parents everything, they suggested I come live with them. I'm planning to leave the country soon, so I won't have any more dealings with those people. I'm looking forward to the new encounters that await me abroad.